Hi, thanks so much for sticking with WOLV Newsfeed. I'm Alexis Wierenga. We're now heading into the debate portion of tonight's election special. I'm joined by our presidential candidates, Will Royster for the team and Cooper Charlton for Make Michigan. In this portion, I'll be asking a question. You each will be given a minute to respond individually, and we'll alternate who goes first, and then whoever goes first will also get a chance to have a 30-second rebuttal. Okay. We'll be counting down, so I'll cut you off when you need to be cut off to keep things on time. We have a series of questions that we'll just head right into right now. Awesome. Since Cooper went first for the interviews, we'll start with Will for the debate for the first question. And so your first question of tonight is, in the past, CSG has faced many issues and is still currently facing issues in dealing with the divestment movement, such as things like that. What do you think is the most important issue to be addressed in this upcoming year for CSG?
Excellent question. The biggest issue in the upcoming year has been an issue in the last years, and it continues to be an issue. And that's diversity on campus. It's particularly for minority students. It's something that's continuously declining, and we have to give this a lot of attention. We have to give it the attention that it deserves here on campus. One thing that I've tried to help is being a part of the Black Student Union. You know, last year there was the BBUM movement to increase African American representation to 10%. But I didn't want to just rely on administrators to do this. So I had a vision of creating a program and bringing students to campus myself. We raised $20,000 to create the MEAR program, which is bringing 42 African-American students to campus for a 3-day residential program. So empowering students to create programs like this and continuously working with administrators is what's going to get us to that change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cooper, same question.
Thank you. Yeah, Will brings up some really great points. The way that Make Michigan looks at it, diversity is very much a part of that. Student safety. We define student safety as not only physical, but sexual and mental. Diversity is so important, but we also have to make sure people feel inclusion. A lot of the time when we talk about diversity, we talk about our differences. We need to start finding about our similarities, what brings us together, you know, what makes us feel like we're included. And that all comes down to how safe you feel on our campus, whether that's through mental health, whether that's through the new Sexual Assault Prevention Commission, or whether that's through just having a cup of coffee and making it okay to reach out to somebody in a classroom. We really want to make sure that inclusion is the most important thing that we address next year, because inclusion truly encompasses not only diversity, but student safety as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So Will, you have 30 seconds to give your rebuttal.
So as Cooper mentioned, diversity isn't limited. It's not limited. Diversity is inclusive to ability, it's inclusive to ideas, and that's what we represent here at the team. You know, we purposely created our slate to capture all the student voices. It wasn't by mistake. And because of that, we're going to be the change that this campus needs. Thank you.
Thank you. So heading into our next question of the night, you both speak about diversity in your platform, but in your mind, what is diversity and what would be your approach? What steps would you take to making this a more diverse campus? Cooper, you'll start this time.
Thank you. Great question. Great question. And you know, this is a trend. This is you know, in the last debate that Will and I were able to participate in, and now, you know, diversity is at the forefront of conversation. What can we do? You know, I think it's very important to understand and to self-reflect. You know, where do I come from? You know, people are going to ask me the hard question, and I think, you know, people having the ability to connect through passion, connect through our similarities, is huge. I think how we can do that, it starts with our student organizations. If you look at all of our leaders on campus, they're doing a great job. If you look at all of our members, they're engaged. We need to make sure that our student organizations are not only empowering those within that organization, but then create that cross-campus collaboration, that cross-campus pollination. We need to make sure that we're touching all campuses. We find ourselves only talking about Central. We need to talk about South. We need to talk about North. And the key way that we can do that is by really empowering our student orgs, whether that's financially.
And
got to cut me off. I saw the little wave in the background. No worries, no worries. I get passionate.
All right, Will, same question, your approach to diversity?
So my approach to diversity, again, it's diversity of ideas, it's diversity of ethnicity, it's diversity of ability. And how we're going to do that, how we're going to achieve that, because this question comes up often, is creating a homogeneous campus. What does that mean? It means learning from each other. So as we reach out, we have to have a willingness to learn. have a willingness to know that we aren't the experts at everything. And I participated in teach-ins to learn more about particular movements that go on campus. I have been a part of the Multicultural Advisory Board, but I don't go into these settings anticipating to give only. Yes, I have my opinion, but I know that opinion is limited to my identity. So I go into these spaces with a willingness to learn, and that's what it's going to take from the student body to create true diversity.
Thanks. For your rebuttal?
Yeah. And not so much as a rebuttal as it is, an agreement. I think, Will pointed out educating ourselves, being open to learning. I think, 931 people, it's not 43,000, but it's a lot of people. And that's the number of student athletes that I've represented. And if one takes the time to really look at that population, they see how different we really are. And I had to challenge myself, and it was demanded of me to really get to know all those people. The last thing I'd like to say is we need to make sure that when we talk about diversity, we're also including the LGBTQ community, which we haven't done enough of yet.
I have to cut you off.
Yep, no
Okay.
problem.
So your next question, how do you plan to reach out to students and hear their voice? As a representative of the students, how do you plan to be in contact with them and hearing what their opinions and thoughts are? Will, you start?
Absolutely. So a big part of our platform through empowerment, how do you empower somebody? That starts with transparency. We have a lot of our things on our platform that deal with transparency. So one thing is our coffee carts, having coffee carts in Mason Hall and other local areas bi-monthly so that we can have a face to CSG, so we can constantly be hearing the voices of the students so they can ask us questions. Another thing that we plan to do is just being there and being in those spaces, going to students' events. I was part of I attended and spoke at the Police Brutality Speak Out this year. That was a collaboration between, that included the Black Student Union. And one thing that stuck out was there was CSG representation that wasn't at that event. So just being there at those events means a lot to the students.
Thank you. Cooper?
Thank you. Yeah, presence. Having a presence, not only individually in a room to show people what you care about, but also presence is being in that room, reaching out. I look at Jason and Reed from LSNA Student Government, two people that have been doing great things that might not get the recognition they need, or even have the conversation with the people they need to get their goals reached. I look at the Stand by Blue movement, which I talked a little about in the interview. These are things that people often overlook because there's so much negativity going on campus. And what we need to do, the culture shift that we need to have is back towards positivity. And that starts with being present, being able to listen, actively listen. It's easier for somebody to hear one thing and have their response already ready to go. It's going to be on CSG to sit down, close their mouth a little bit, and really hear what everyone has to say. And I think that's how we're going to accomplish that.
Thanks. Your rebuttal?
Yeah, absolutely. Stand by Blue is huge. It's huge. I was actually, I've attended a lot of the meetings for Stand by Blue, and this is a great step in the right direction. A great step in making a homogeneous campus, highlighting a number of student organizations and really understanding that we can do so much together. I was part of the Maze Night Madness event that was attached to Stand by Blue, and it highlighted a number of organizations on campus. So that's the change that we're going to need to see.
Thank you. All right, so moving on to our next question. What is the greatest asset CSG currently has, or the greatest strength or tool you have, and how would you plan to utilize it next year? So we'll be starting with Cooper on this one.
Awesome. Before I answer that, I just want to, Will, I was at that as well. A lot of fun, right? Gotta love the pep rally to get everyone excited and really bring campus together. What is the greatest asset CSG has? It's a tough question. Asset. I start thinking of finance, and that's really not what it's about. I think the best thing about CSG is that it's a part of the University of Michigan. The University of Michigan is a place where some of the greatest thought leaders have emerged from. It's where some of the greatest debates have taken place, where people were allowed to listen, allowed to give their opinions, and truly heard. And it's the place where the Peace Corps was founded, on our union steps. I think CSG being a part of such a great institution, where we're held to a standard of excellence, really demands from these leaders, Will, myself, everyone else, that this university and the platform that we have, and it is really, I guess, the greatest asset. If we're going to use asset.
Absolutely. So the greatest part of CSG is that it is a platform for empowerment. to capture the student voices, that they can work directly with administrators, hand in hand. You know, as an oncoming president, a candidate, I recognize that this position will give me the opportunity to be the bridge between the student body and the administrators, to hear their voices and empower that and work as a surrogate with them. So just for that opportunity to serve in that leadership position is huge, to be a servant and to use that platform to empower other voices. Thank you.
Thank you. And Cooper, do you have a rebuttal?
Sure. Do I have a rebuttal? Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, Will's saying some great things, and I would have to agree. It is a platform to empower. The one thing that I think we both share, and some other students do as well, is, you know, we're in a place right now where we don't know which direction we're going in. You know, we both want to take us forward. You know, whether that's right or left, you know, it waits to be seen. But I think the biggest thing is looking at the history of our great university. And realizing that we need to live up to this standard and even raise the bar even further, and just proud to be part of the university.
Okay. All right, next question. So in light of recent events that have put a negative stigma on Greek life at Michigan, not only on Greek life, but on Michigan as well, how do you plan to work with Greek organizations to increase accountability or just positive representation of our university as a whole in connection with this system that plays a large part on our campus? And Will, this question goes to you first.
Great question. I just want to first start by saying, you know, Greek life, as a member of Greek life, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Epsilon chapter, through the MPHC, Greek life really stems both fraternities and sororities from principles, from standards, recognizing what these students actually represent and what they join these organizations for. So Greek life has a lot of positive aspects. What we need to keep in perspective is how we can teach and educate as people are entering Greek life. So this is something that I want to help to implement with administrators, like learning about bystander intervention, learning how can we have fun and enjoy and give service and philanthropy, but still stay within the university guidelines. So it's going to start with education, and it's going to start with learning. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm truly blessed to have a vice presidential candidate in Stephen Halperin, who is on IFC right now, who's been an integral part in the Sexual Assault Prevention Commission, who's been involved in our student-wide, our student-wide policy. What am I trying to say here? Honor code. Thank you. Student-wide honor code as well. And I think it really goes back, you know, to bystander awareness. We have to hold our people to a standard like we talked about. You know, Michigan is a place where people come and are expected to act a certain way, and Greek life has demonstrated time in and time out they have great GPAs, they do great philanthropic events, and they have great people. We just got to ask those leaders to hold their other individuals accountable. And I think that's what it's really all about. I think it starts with the conversation, and it really just starts with challenging our leaders. Greek life at its core has some of the greatest people on our campus. We just need to rethink that and re-stress bystander awareness and leadership at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, and your response?
The response I would have to those statements, and the honor code was a topic of discussion in the last debate, is that you know, I understand the message behind the honor code, but it's going to take a culture shift. It's going to take, again, getting in there, learning and educating, not one single document.
Thank you. All right. Next question. So when you speak about unification on campus, where do you think the greatest gaps exist, and what steps would you take to mend these gaps between student groups? So this question goes to you first, Cooper.
Greatest gaps. You know, I think if we're honest with ourselves, there's a lot of gaps. I'm going to use an example that's just very fresh in my mind. I got off the phone with quite a few student leaders from North Campus. Had multiple phone calls in the past couple days. And North Campus, as a place that produces some of the most brilliant technological things, leads the international community and academics, feels neglected at times. And North Campus in a whole contains so much diversity. And that's a whole campus that feels like they're not connected. And I think ways we can do that is by listening. We talked about forming a North Campus Commission, by having student leaders come together and really represent the true voice. So that way when CSG goes looking for a response or reaches out to somebody, we know where we can turn to find an accurate voice of what North Campus needs. And that really encompasses making sure we're talking about all three campuses, North, South, and Central.
Will?
Absolutely. So the greatest gaps on campus, when we really look at campus, we're quite segmented. And I think a lot of that, at least at the organizational level, comes from competition. A lot of us focus on competition as opposed to collaboration. And that's why the team focuses on cross-campus collaboration. Again, incentivizing people to work together. Things like Stand by Blue are a perfect example of how we can work together, highlight each other's events, and also be a part of them. So that's the direction that campus should be moving in, so that we can be working together as one homogeneous, unified team. Thank you.
Do you have any yourself?
Just echoing the common theme of the campus collaboration. Student leaders, all the way down to members, we have to make sure that people are not only engaged and enthusiastic about what their passions are, but we have to be be able to make it cool to reach out to other people. It has to be okay to be interested in something else, and we're really going to work to do that with Make Michigan by making a difference next year.
Thank you. All right, so we're bringing us to our final question of the night. We'll just have you each give a 1-minute statement. There'll be no rebuttal on this one.
Okay.
So just final summary. What hasn't been said yet that you feel needs to be said? What makes your party unique from your opponent's party? What is any final closing statement you would like to make? And so we will start on this one with Will.
Absolutely, thank you. So what makes our party unique is, again, we intentionally took leaders from all diverse parts of campus. Some leaders where their communities haven't ever been represented on CSG, because we know and we demand for those voices to be heard on campus. We recognize that CSG needs more, that it needs those voices. Myself in particular, as someone who hadn't been a part of CSG, I said, this has to be improved upon. People aren't pleased with the current system, and that's why we need to create this change. We're encompassing all these student leaders so that we can do that together as one unified team, as one unified front, and as one unified university.
Thank you. Cooper, final statement?
Yeah, what makes us unique is Make Michigan is truly about passion over politics. We truly have a love, not only for the people that we surround ourselves with every day, but the university. You've seen this common theme is that we're at such a magical place at the University of Michigan. When you go home and talk to your friends or you talk to your parents about how it's going, the University of Michigan usually brings a smile or a twinkle in the eye. And I would challenge us to really reflect and ask if the University of Michigan is still that #1 university. Those questions and those answers might vary. With Make Michigan, we're really willing to make the difference to elevate us back to the best university in this country, because we truly love the people here and we have the passion to do it.
Thank you. So I want to say thank you to Cooper and Will for being here tonight, along with your vice presidential candidates.
Thank you.
We appreciate you taking the time out. And we also want to say, if you're interested in learning more about Make Michigan, be sure to visit makemichigan.com. And if you'd like to catch up on more information about what the team is doing, you can be sure to visit theteamumich.com. Remember, polls are open today and tomorrow, so be sure to vote at vote.umich.edu. For WOLV-TV Newsfeed, I'm Alexis Wierenga. And remember, wherever you go, go blue.
Go blue.
Blue Bay.